Rock on. Welcome to episode of Frack The Canon. I am joined by the coolest motherfuckers around. And we're joined by a new guest, a new panelist today, Mrs. Sarah. Sarah, you want to give us your last name or no? Or you want to?
I mean, no.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Little mystery, right?
Exactly. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what are your nerd credits a little bit?
I mean, like, I don't have any. Those are my credits. I'm just I have a lot of opinions, which I think counts a little bit as far as I know about nerdy people. I'm nerd proxy. Like, my little brother is a major nerd. My boyfriend's a nerd. Like, I'm a nerd by association. Yeah. So I've been around a lot of nerds, but I have my brain doesn't focus enough to nerd out on anything in particular.
Perfect. Okay. And then we're joined by someone we haven't seen in a minute too, Mrs. Renee. How are you doing, Renee?
Doing all right. It's good to be
Mrs.
back.
I'm sorry, Miss.
Oh yeah,
sorry,
Miss. Oh, I didn't catch that either. Oh my God, Miss. Still single.
This is like congratulations.
And then Mr. Tyler Reese, how you doing?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Alrighty, and the coolest motherfucker around, the co-host with the most, Mr. CJ McCree. What is up, good sir?
What's up? I'm here to talk.
We're here to talk about Wednesday on a Saturday. So whatever. Okay. So I like that title. That's pretty cool. What were your thoughts about Wednesday, Sarah? Since I talked to you, I feel you have the most strongest opinions about it. Let's put it that way. What was that with you? What did you think?
It's awful for so many reasons. Like, so, I mean, I told you a little bit. It feels like two different shows that are happening at the same time.
Okay. And
they didn't quite figure out which story they were telling until about the 6th episode. And then they lost the plot again in the 8th episode. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Addams Family. And this was not, it didn't make any sense. I couldn't figure out why the Addamses were there. Like, it seemed like we were, okay, we've got this kind of fun, Nevermore, Harry Potter-ish thing. Then we're going to do a little Scooby-Doo and some Harriet the Spy mystery solving stuff. Only it's Wednesday. And for some reason, Wednesday hates her mom and she's going through an angsty teen phase, which doesn't make any sense for what the Addams Family actually is. I don't know. I couldn't figure out what was happening or why it was happening through the entire thing. Are my initial thoughts on it.
Anyone else? Like, I'll go last. Like, anyone else want to go?
Yeah, I'll just chime in. I agree. Like, I enjoyed parts, but it was really hard to track for me too. So that's all for me.
Renee?
I agree. With the direction it was going in, like you had the mystery, and then with the school, and with this prophecy, but then you had the mystery of Gomez going. It was kind of all over the place. Like, it was trying to figure out which direction it was going to go in, and then it started to get on track, like Sarah had said, but then it would lose its plot point.
CJ.
I guess what I would say is I don't disagree with anything that any of you said. I came away thinking like it's fine. Like,
it is a fun show.
Yeah, like it's something like if you don't have anything else to watch, like it's something to watch kind of a thing, right? Like it's like it's like me and Renee were talking earlier today, and I'll tell you kind of what I told him. Like, if Jenna Ortega wasn't as accomplished actress as I probably would have stopped watching at like episode 2. I was really kind of only kept along in the show because of how she approached the character. I thought she was far and away the best thing in the show. Beyond that, as a fan of the Addams Family, like I have several issues with it, but we can kind of get into those later. But beyond that, like Jenna Ortega as Wednesday was far and away the best thing in the show, and it was kind of the thing that kind of carried me through the show. Not necessarily in about the show though.
I just remember watching it, feeling it, and something I stole from Mark Bernardin from Fat Man Beyond was like, this show, and I think I stole from you too, CJ. This show doesn't argue for its existence. Like, why am I watching this? Like, there's no reason for me to be watching the show. To your guys' point, like after watching, like, this feels very much like Smallville, and I forgot the Smallville creators are writing it too, because I'm like, it's suburban like it's Americana USA, whatever. But I'm like, why this family? Why Wednesday Addams? Why? Because I have a lot of issues with the show. Like, yeah, it was one, like, yeah, Jenna Ortega was awesome, but that was it, really. Like, I don't feel anybody else kind of was like, oh my god, blew me away. Like, nothing against Catherine Jones or Gomez, or the guy who plays Gomez, Luis
Guzman.
Luis Guzman, thank you. I'm like, why does it feel like you guys are doing a bad impression? Like, it reminded me of that meme. I want McDonald's. We got McDonald's at home, and it's like the third rate, whatever. It felt like that. I'm like, what is this? Like, why? Like, Tim Burton's a pretty good director, or was a good director. It's to see from CJ. But I'm like, what happened? Like, what is this? Like, what the frack is happening?
All right, let's use that as a jumping off point, right? Like you mentioned Luis Guzman, you mentioned Catherine Zeta-Jones. All right, so let me use that as a jumping off point to say, like, this is the first problem that I had with the show. The characterization of the rest of the Addams family.
There she is. Oh, how we miss those accusing eyes and youthful sneer. Oh.
How are you, my little rain cloud?
I thought Thing was filling you in on my every move. I uncovered your feeble subterfuge almost immediately.
So how's the little fella doing? Does he still have all his fingers?
Right, like, as somebody who's, I don't know, I'm like a passive fan of the Addams Family, right? I like the movies when they came out. I'm aware. I watched the Scooby-Doo crossover when I was growing up on Cartoon Network. You know what I mean? I'm passively aware of the old show. I've seen it and some of the stuff on it. Gomez, like, when I heard the casting for Gomez, I was like, oh, cool, Luis Guzman, like, he's cool. He's like a funny guy. He can be charismatic. Until I saw the show, right? Like, I was like, wait a minute, like, so it's like I'm not really blaming him as much as like probably the direction to what he was given. I don't know why the choice for him to like as stoic as both Wednesday and Morticia was, because like typically like Gomez, like, and no, I didn't think he was gonna outdo Raul Julia, who like blew it out of the water, right? But like Gomez is like typically like this crazy, zany, charismatic, like the almost the emotional polar opposite of what Morticia is. And this just a real charismatic, kind of chew up the scene kind of guy, but like no, not that at all. Like in this, it was like somebody like kind of took cliff notes on what someone else said Gomez and Morticia were, and like it's like go with that kind of a thing. I don't know.
Would you say they were basically watered down?
Very much, I would say that. Yes, they were very much watered down. Like I didn't.
Like all the focus was on. Yeah, all the focus was on Wednesday as a character and maybe Thing, and that's it. But everybody else got watered down.
But the show is called Wednesday. It is Wednesday. But
yeah,
and I was thinking about this too. I'm like, to see from CJ, like they're all one note joke pretty much for the most part. So maybe it should have been about the family and not just the character Wednesday. Because I'm like, this does not, for me, it didn't work. Except for Jenna Ortega. But even that character, I'm like, I'm kind of bored of this already. Like, myself.
Somebody on TikTok made a really, really good point about the Addams Family, which is how am I supposed to believe that Pugsley was getting bullied at school and they left him there?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to believe that the Addams Family abandoned their son? Also, Wednesday and Pugsley are together. Somebody they had their own little kind of fanfic moment, and they were talking about what if Pugsley was at Nevermore, and what a better story it would have been to see Wednesday and Pugsley at Nevermore, because they're besties and they have such great, they play off of each other, and it would have been so fantastic to see either more of the family or more of the weird school story they were trying to tell, but they never got into anything almost. We just kind of got like a hint of the Addams Family. And what was Fred Armisen doing?
Still as sharp as ever, my pigtailed protege.
Uncle Fester.
What was he doing? Aside from a really weird like vocal attempt, he was trying to copy the voice from the original show. And that's about it. What was happening?
I've never seen the original show. I just know the movie, so I'm like, it just felt everyone except for Jada Ortega felt like a third-rate version of like here, like a knockoff version to me. I could
See,
be wrong.
I didn't even like her that much. I think she looked great by comparison because everything else was so bad that you were like, okay, cool, she's there being gloomy.
Tyler,
Everything that's been said has been said. Like I've been like nodding my head a lot in this episode. Like, yeah. Like, there's nothing else I can really add outside of this show was like so confusing that I didn't even really feel like stakes even existed because the chemistry lacked so much. Conflict was like almost non-existent, and I was like, why?
so something we were talking about earlier today, like CJ said, so what's up with the normies and the whole outcast thing? You said it. Can you say it again, CJ? Because like you said it so much better than I.
But basically, I was like, kind of like when the show started, they had this, obviously like there's the like it's like obviously like Xavier's school for gifted children, right? That they're at, right? Like, and there's this whole X-Men, not just with the school, but like there's this whole X-Men vibe, like with this like normal people versus weirdo people, whatever they kept calling them. I forgot what the outcasts or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
outcasts.
Outcasts versus normal people thing. And like, but when we got to so it wasn't until like we got to the end of the series and I was like, wait, what was that even for? Like, because it never like went anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got to the end of the series, the bad guy's like, I'm here to kill everyone because he's basically like a bigot, right? You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I don't like these people because I don't like these people. You know what I mean? Like these people don't need to be here. And then so like it just kind of caused me to look back and I was like, wait a minute. So like you just kind of had like this, what was the point of the normal people like hating?
Well, that's Tim Burton's one note. That's all he knows is, ooh, normal people scare me. Ooh, boogity boogity.
Right.
That's his entire brand is aesthetics and ooh, normal people are scary, which is why he should have had nothing to do with the Addams to begin with. I have very strong opinions. Clearly, I'm very mad that Tim Burton got anywhere close to the Addams Family.
But Tim Burton does have that track record of like taking other properties and being like, "What are you doing, dude?" Planet of the Apes.
He's awful.
Planet of the Apes. Charlie's Chocolate Factory.
All the best things that have Tim Burton's name on it had nothing to do with him. They're from the mind of Tim Burton, which means he like scribbled on a Post-it and someone else wrote it, directed it, created it, and fixed all the bad things he had in it. That's mostly what has happened.
Are you sure you're not a nerd? Because like you're presenting a great case.
I might be.
I you know what though? I'll say I like Tim Burton's Batman. But that's not his vision. That's his take on a vision. Like pre Tim Burton was like Adam West, and then post Tim Burton's like Kevin Conroy. That's my take on. Sometimes like the sort of thing like a clock is right twice a day, even if it's broken, type of thing.
Sounds all right. The thing is, when you get into what the Addams Family were, they're all about being this super loving, super supportive, super functional family who's just a bunch of like rich, eccentric people. They're allowed to be weird because they're so wealthy. That's all it is. It's just, they like weird stuff, and they can like weird stuff because they have a ton of money. They're not actually that strange as people. They're not actually dysfunctional. So somehow this show made the Addams family into a dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Why? For what? Like, for what reason?
That was part of their charm, was that they were this nuclear family that was just like out there, like different from the norm, which other people would consider like, oh my God, you guys are creepy. But they're like, nah, this is normal for us and we love each other.
Right?
Yeah, that was another thing that I was me and Renee were talking about earlier, where it was like, you know, like part of the charm of the Addams family, like to kind of retread what you guys just said, part of the charm of the Addams family, and this was like really hit me in the face when we got to the climax, and like Christina Ricci is like, I don't know, casting this weird spell, you know what I mean? And I was like, first off, I was just like, wait a minute, like, did they ever even set up that like there's actual magic in this world? Number one, but number two, like I was like, wait a minute, like, you know, part of the Addams family's charm, you know, they're not the monsters, you know what I mean? Like they're not like, hi, I'm a vampire, hi, I'm a werewolf, hi, I'm a Frankenstein monster creation, hi, I'm a, you know, mummy or whatever, and we all walk into a bar and hilarity ensues. It's like this. It was like they were weird and creepy in a way, like Morticia, it was implied that her and her mother were into witchcraft, but like a witch that you know, right? Like a witch that you, like a friend of yours might know, and they practice witchcraft in that way, you know what I mean? And like our grounded in our reality practices witchcraft. They put a curse on you and maybe it works, right? Maybe, I don't know, right? But like, or Wednesday was like, oh, I'll probably grow up to be a serial killer, probably. But like, it's, you know what I mean? Like Gomez is like eccentric. They weren't like actual, like, you know what I mean? Wednesday didn't have like superpowers or, you know, they weren't like actually like supernatural. They were just kind of supernatural adjacent, or they might have been into that, but kind of like you guys were saying, you know what I mean? It's just like there was this kind of real creepiness to them, but also like the family, the nuclear family part of them that like brought them together, you know what I mean? I don't know.
There's an episode of the original show where Pugsley wants to join the Boy Scouts, and his family is like, cool, we don't get it, but go you. I mean, even in the second movie, when the baby comes out blonde and Morticia's reading The Cat in the Hat, she's like, my kid's weird, I don't get it. But they're still super supportive the whole time. The whole idea that Wednesday hates her mom just made me so mad. Like, there's no call for that. Wednesday wouldn't have a rebellious teenage phase where she hates her mother, because that's a typical reaction. That's the typical response to a dysfunctional family. She would be like super close to her mom, and that would be the weird part. I don't know. The whole thing just, I tried to watch it again to refresh myself, and I couldn't get past the second episode. I was like, I can't do this to myself twice.
Renee, Tyler?
Aside from the out of character elements, for what it was, for me anyways, it was still kind of entertainment. Like CJ said, it was something to watch. Although I'm not going to deny the iconic scene that's making its rounds on TikTok. That's like kind of getting annoying, but I still love the scene where she's dancing to the Cramps in her kooky way.
Oh, the COVID scene?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about any other characters that stood out for you guys that you liked from the show, besides the Addams and Wednesday. Like, I really like the. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead first.
I really like that werewolf girl. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool that the I kind of liked her. Kind of annoying, but for some reason I kind of like her too. Like, I still like. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you said it. Go ahead.
No, I was just like, I kind of just like, I was still just confused by that too. Like, so is this school like for like mutants, I guess, for lack of a better word, like CJ, like X-Men? Because I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I like the other characters.
Natural mutants.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And you know, another question sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, CJ.
Another question I had was like, in this reality, like, are humans aware of this place? Like, there was like conflicting like information that I was getting. Like in the first episode, I'm like, okay, like nobody knows about this place because like the sheriff is like kind of wary of it, but then like
He
there was just
married
a
other
little bit.
things. It was like, okay, so then why did the normal people like have against them then, like if they like don't know anything about them, but like I guess if they did know they were monsters, they wouldn't try to like prank them their prom or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like I kept getting conflicting information. Like, does the world know like that vampire thing or something? Like, I don't know.
I wanted to say, you know how like Disney movies, they always have like a animal sidekick or something, and it makes the movie like twice as good. For me, the Thing was like that character in this movie, and
Okay.
like he was so well done. I think once he showed up, the show got like twice as good, and I was like seeing how well they did the Thing on camera was like had me like locked in on this on screen whenever he was on screen, and he was charming.
I love the 5-finger discount.
Yeah.
That did make me laugh. I don't know why that made me laugh, but I'm like, that's funny.
One thing I liked about the show, like going in, I thought that they were going to neuter Wednesday a bit, because of like her character, like her humor is so dark. It comes from this really dark place, and I was like, oh, okay, so she's the star of this show, and it's kind of like this teeny kind of like whatever that you might see on the CW or something. So I was just like, oh, okay, they're gonna like kind of like neuter her character, but I was like pleasantly surprised when like we're like 5 minutes in, tries to murder like these kids in the pool, and I was just like, yes, okay, I'm cool with that.
You know what? You mentioned that, CJ, and I remembered when I initially heard about Wednesday, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like Sabrina. They're gonna like make this like absolutely ridiculous, make the character like not like cringeworthy. I mean, not cringeworthy, like that would make her cringeworthy.
Right.
But with Jenna Ortega, she did it pretty well. She really did. They didn't neuter her at all as a character.
Yeah, there are a few lines that like really like caused me to crack up, where she's like, if you hear me screaming bloody murder, there's a chance I'm just enjoying myself. I'd laugh at. But yeah.
Anyone else? Sarah, Tyler?
My next thing that I was thinking about is like, what was up with Wednesday being kind of a bully though? What was that? What was going on? Why did she walk into the school, pick on the only Black student, and be like, you, it's on?
Anyone else want to challenge me?
I do.
Oh, you must be the psychopath they let in.
And you must be the self-appointed queen bee. Interesting thing about bees. Pull out their stingers and they drop dead.
Rowan doesn't need you to come to his defense. He's not helpless. He's lazy.
Are we doing this or not?
What was that? And then also the only other Black person in the entire show, she was like, you, boy, I'm going to beat you up. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it just me?
Let's talk about it. Yeah, go
From
ahead.
the hand of Tim Burton comes unnecessary racial tension. Like, what was that?
Now you know what I like the counterpoint to that. I thought, but aside, the Bulk and Skull trio or whatever, I actually thought that the chick that she called, I thought her character was actually really well written, and
I enjoyed her.
And that she,
I think that's also why I was mad.
Yeah, like she kind of like nailed it. You know what I mean? Like, because within that first moment, like I called the like, because there's in the climax, she comes and like stabs the guy in the back or whatever. And like from that first moment, like I called it, I was like, oh, they're gonna be like Goku and Vegeta. Like it's gonna be like, well, it's like kind of rivalries because of the way they like approach it. And I would have felt the exact opposite if she was like, like the bully from Mean Girls or something, right? But like I actually thought it was like the way they introduced her character was like actually better done than like a lot of times they introduce the rival character, like the way how she's just like like she didn't snap back immediately. She's just like she like explained herself kind of a thing, like, and then kind of like stood up like, hey, listen, I don't like to lose. But at the same time, like, look, dude, you coming at the wrong person. But like, oh no, like I don't like to lose. So like it is what it is, like kind of a thing. You know what I mean? I actually really like in the way she like acted throughout the whole series, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, you know what? She's like gives really good this what she is, you know what I mean, in the show. I guess antagonist gives good rival. So like part of me, like I feel you on that, but like the counterpoint to that was like if it was like just racist, she wouldn't have been such a well-written character, you know what I mean?
I
As
thought
well,
she was
you know what I mean?
stellar. I thought her character was great. I thought the actress was fantastic. I just found it strange. I'm like, why aren't there more Black kids at this school? First of all, I guess is where it stood out to be like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
I did notice that too. I'm like,
The only one. Why?
Now I noticed that, but I also grew up in like small town America, so I do know what that's like too.
Yeah.
I know. I want more.
I mean, it is the people that brought you Smallville, and in Smallville, there's only one Black character that I can remember.
But there were two, and she picked on both of them.
Three, the mayor.
Oh, and the dad. Yeah.
The bear.
And the
he
dad
died.
had the most bizarre moment ever. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Oh, someone like you would never understand being ignored. Oh yeah, the Siren's mom.
Oh no, there was the weird secondhand store owner too.
Yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You can count on our hands.
Literally.
This is the new Bechtel test. If I can count your like people of color on one hand, there's not enough.
That's funny.
But
it does bear mentioning.
Yes. Always. I still can't. Someone like you would never understand what it means to not be listened to. To the one Black man in the story. Why? It just, there were so many weird, unnecessary moments that I'm like, did we have to do that though? Like there's so many hands in writing and directing and creating a piece that nobody was like, this is weird.
Yeah, the casting director should have like upped it, you know?
Somebody should have been like, hey, this is a dumb thing to say. Can we like fix that line, change that line? Can we find another way for her to express what she's saying?
Different character.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Anybody else, please.
I don't know. I didn't when I first saw it, I didn't see it until you mentioned it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I didn't see that until you mentioned it. So I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't see that. I didn't see that way, but okay, cool.
Yeah, because I'm probably like you, Renee, where I saw it as she saw this kid being picked on, basically, like kicked while he was down, metaphorically speaking, and she stood up for him because it was like Pugsley, like she had to step up for Pugsley.
Yeah, and that's how I saw that. Yeah, but again, but yes, any other comments, any other thoughts, anything else, Sarah, Renee, Tyler, CJ?
No, I stand by kind of what I said at the beginning. I think it's fine, but I will say like when season 2 probably comes around, like I'm probably not gonna dive back in though.
Yeah, no, me neither. It was like, all right, I know it broke all these Netflix records, but I'm like, for me once, shame on you. For me twice, shame on me.
Right.
All right.
I'm probably gonna watch it because I love me a show where I'm like, okay, I'm really curious to see where this train is gonna go, if it's gonna crash or not.
I'm like, I just remember watching it, and I just remember feeling, this feels like Smallville, and I forgot that the guys who created Smallville were writing it. Well, yeah, small town Americana, freaks of the week, I guess, or whatever. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for running out with me and my friends. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.